Okay, so I'm making this video to basically show you what's working on this mixer and what's not, so you know exactly what you're getting. So I've got this SE02 plugged into it, and this, what it is, there's I've put some tape on here, and which channels I basically have a few problems. And most of the channels are working, but what it is some of the preamps don't work. So the preamps that don't work, the actual insert still works. So it's not the channel, it's the actual preamp. So I've already been inside this. I've already added a new power supply. Yeah, so you can see here that it's got a power outlet IDC lead, right? So it's basically just plugs into there. And what's inside there is it's got Soundcraft power supply, switch mode power supply. So it spits out the correct voltage. It's basically minus 15 and plus 15 volts. And then there's a option for 48 volts in there. This used to run on 24 volts for phantom power, but that switch mode power supply that's in here is quiet, which is the main thing with these power supplies. They need to be quiet. It's absolutely quiet. But it has a 48 volt phantom power output, which just needs hooking into the main switch on the back of this. If I get time to do that, I'll do that. But I want to show you basically this working and what's not working. So as I said, the inserts work. Yeah, all the channels, the inserts work, but so just a few of the preamps are out. And what it is with the preamps, it's basically the capacitors. The electrolytic capacitors are the original ones that are in here, and a few of them are blown out. So all it needs is the electrolytics replacing in the channels. Probably all the channels could do with replacing, really. And then this desk would be amazing, because I'm gutted I have to sell it. I have to leave Australia, so basically I'm putting it up for sale. I bought this as a restoration project, and I've been using it to like overdrive the sounds and the analog gear that I've been buying. So I'll give you I mean, this sounds clean at the minute. It sounds nice. I mean, you'll hear through the phone mic are not so great, but you can get an idea of the overdrive. You can hear it kind of saturating out, so it depends on the effect you want, but there's definitely some analog distortion that you can get out of this desk. But if we just put it back to normal, you probably won't hear the EQ so much. But the EQ is actually quite usable. I mean, this isn't the best analog desk in the world, but it's pretty solidly built. And if you know much about electronic components, the signal path in here is actually really clean. So it uses TLO71 op amps, and really you can go down the audiophile route and try and get better op amps, but if you know anything about electronics, you don't need them. These are low noise, not op amps, developed in the 70s, and it's kind of what we're using a lot of 70s consoles, classic consoles, and people think they need to change the op amps, but then don't. So this has the clean low noise op amps and really clean signal path, and you can overdrive the individual channels as needed. And so basically we've got a master output section. This thing is quiet. If I could plug this into a laptop and record it for you, I would, but this thing is quiet and you get a load of gain out of it. The meters aren't fully working though, so you can see that meter does kind of work, but this one, it's a bit on the low side. There is a little pot inside. You can see these calibration dots. You need a long screwdriver for them, or you just need to open the back of it up. I tried to calibrate it, but it didn't really make much difference. This one was responding more to the bass than the other ones, I think. So it might be again just capacitors that need changing. But if I go through these channels, I can actually show you which ones work and which ones don't. So if I just plug that into here, so that's number 3. So there's a problem with number 3. You can see I've got a thing on there. But then if I plug it into the insert, it's clean, it comes through perfectly clear. And again with this next channel, that's dead as well. Not quite dead, that's just overdriving and distorting itself. Maybe because the volume's up. So it's a bit crackly, so there's something not quite right with that channel. Yeah, it's a bit intermittent, but it works. But then if we plug it into the insert return, it's clean. So it's just the preamp. So when it's in the insert, that preamp doesn't work and the EQ doesn't work. So all you get is basically, I think with the insert, I think you get the sends, I'm not sure. But with the insert, it's actually a cleaner signal. You can hear the slight difference because the signal path is kind of bypassing a lot of this. It pretty much goes straight to the fader and straight to the master. And then if we go into the next channel, and these are the same inputs for the mic and the line. Basically they share the same input, so you can try this with the mics and it's just pretty much the same signal path. So if the preamp works for the mic, it works for the line. If you There's a few crackly pots, but that's nothing. It's just, all you need is basically some contact cleaner. This channel's a bit thin, so I think that one, again, it's just capacitors. If you plug that into here, perfectly clear. So if it depends what you want to do, if you want to kind of use if you want to route some stuff from your sound card into this and just use a couple of clean signal paths, you can stick them straight on the inserts. And then if you want to kind of get more of an overdriven effect on some stuff like a drum machine. Don't know about that one. I think this channel's completely dead, perhaps. Ah, it's because it was panned. Ah, yeah. Yeah, so I've only got one speaker plugged into the minute, so that was panned to one side. I love the sound of this mixer, to be honest. I was really surprised when I bought it, because I bought it without a power supply, and basically I put the power supply in and it just fired up straight away. And I'm gutted I have to leave Australia soon, so it's not exactly portable. That one says quiet when I diagnosed it, but yeah, there's a slight issue with that. Again, just capacitors need changing. But in the insert, it just sounds so clear and fat. That bass. If you could hear the bass properly through this phone, you'd hear how deep it is. This channel down with hum, but I'm not hearing any hum at the minute, so maybe that was just what I was plugging in before. This one says dead and it seems to be completely dead. No, it's a panning again. But yeah, the preamp's dead, but the actual insert return perfectly working. And then we've got this last two channels. Right, so last two channels are working fine on the inserts as well. And then we've got the master section. So you've got basically two effect sends and a monitor send, and so there's quite a bit of routing possibilities with this. Oh, I should point this out. The power supply I put in also has a 5-volt output, so I basically stuck a USB thing on there. So this is just USB power, like when you charge your phone. So I modified it just so that it just takes 5 volts straight into these power sockets. And I've been running the other Roland gear off of that. But it depends what you're running. Sometimes it introduces a bit of noise into the power supply, but it's usable. You can probably even charge your phone off there if you wanted. Or even just chop it off. But yeah, back to the routing on this. So let's take a quick look at the back. So here we have this is the control room output that goes on this phone on that. So you can control the volume from there. The main outputs come from down here. So you got XLRs and jacks. There's a phantom switch, so that just needs wiring into the power supply. This is redundant, so that's not needed. That's the original power supply input. So it took basically a power brick, some big lump of metal that was powering it before, that somebody lost. Send auxiliary inputs, send and return effects, send and return reverb. So back up, so send reverb, effect, and then you've got the auxiliary inputs. And then you've got each channel. And that's where the new power input is. And then my USB adapter. So overall it's an amazing sounding desk for what it is. And if you can work around the few channels that are dead, you're just using the insert returns, or you decent with a soldering iron and a screwdriver to open it up and just replace the electrolytics, then you'll have an amazing desk here, because it sounds great, and it's really surprisingly quiet. It sounds a lot better than anything you get these days, like a Mackie or anything like that. Alright, just one quick addition. So I thought I might as well plug both speakers in so that you can be fully sure that both left and right are working. Because when it was stuck on pan before and you weren't hearing an output, you might think that the master section's a bit dodgy, but it's not. Also, I didn't explain the master section fully actually. So basically, there's got these low cuts here which are quite useful. So it depends what you're doing. You can use them for some effect. The effects send and return, right? So you got effects send, effects return. You got your panning, so you can put your effects whichever side. Obviously, if you got a stereo effect, maybe you want to put it back into the auxiliary input. You've got a blank panel here as well, which is quite useful, because I was actually going to modify this a bit more. I was going to stick some little delay modules in here, so I was going to have delays on here and some, some like modular stuff, and get some effects on here, so I could just basically route stuff straight to the effects. But I never get around to it. We've got this main section here, right? So you can choose what you're hearing of the speakers. So that's the mono output. So if we went to mono, the mono seems to have a little bit of bass. I don't know if that's the design of the desk or a bug, or like some capacitor's gone. But basically, you got a mono output, and then if you go to monitor, you can listen to the monitor mix. Now I'm plugged into this one. So basically, yeah, let's figure this out. The monitor output is what's coming from the preamp, yeah? So whatever's coming through the preamp, you can send to the monitor. And then you can listen to the monitor mix here, based on whatever's been sent. So you got like a submix that you can have. Then you got the reverb and effect. So you can listen to the mix for those. Reverb. I don't know, maybe there's a bug with the reverb. Okay, and then one last thing is basically the solo. So the solo works based on what's coming through the mic pre again as well. So you can only solo what's coming through the mic pre. If you plug it into the insert, it doesn't solo. But I'll show you what I mean. So you press solo, then you can turn up the solo mix. There's a lot of gain on the solo mix, but then you lose the fader. So the solo mix only works on what's coming through here. As soon as you plug it into the insert return, it doesn't go to the solo. So there could be some routing that you could, rerouting that is possible. I was actually going to chop off the solos inside and basically reroute into mutes, which would be a lot more useful, because just being able to solo the mic pre's is useless to me. So I was going to try to break the circuit on the solo and then just reinsert the circuit on the button to become mutes for each channel, which would be a lot more useful if you're producing dance music, especially. You want to mute stuff, mixing on the fly as well. But yeah, it's working, so you can see everything that's kind of not working. I know for a fact that this the reverb send works, so I don't know why we couldn't hear the reverb mix. Let's go back to that. Yeah, probably just another capacitor that's gone, but I know for a fact that I do get level when I'm sending stuff from the reverb. So maybe it could even be that channel. Let's try another channel. No. Let's see if the reverbs, yeah, so we get a send on the insert as well, so you can use the inserts with the sends. I'm quite sure the reverb works, but even if it doesn't, it's just a send that's gone. Got a monitor send, so it's not super heavy. That's another thing. I haven't weighed it, but it weighs less than it looks. The metal is actually aluminium, so you pick it up and it's quite light, and it's got these lovely oak wooden panels on the sides. Let me know if you have any other questions about it.